It's an emotional process, and in that, you're setting your business, you're setting your baby, and what you don't want is to come to after 6 months of work and say, "Wow, what do I do tomorrow? I'm not selling because I'm scared. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow." No, have a plan for after. Remove the emotion of this sale.
You're listening to the MSP Security Playbook, the show where modern MSPs come to sharpen their strategy, streamline operations, and secure their growth. I'm your host, Jacob Hazelbaker, MSP Channel Account Manager here at Heimdal Security, where we help MSPs win with unified, AI-powered cybersecurity solutions. Today's guest is Sam Levy, partner at Drakestar, a global investment bank that's advised on more than 500 technology and tech-enabled service transactions. Sam has spent his career at the intersection of innovation and investment, helping founders in the managed services world navigate mergers, acquisitions, and the complex process of building lasting value. In this episode, Sam breaks down what's driving the current wave of MSP consolidation, from private equity appetite to the maturing of the industry itself, and shares what leaders should focus on 12 to 24 months before they even think about selling. It's a conversation packed with insight for any MSP leader thinking about growth, investment, or their eventual exit, whether that's next year or 10 years down the road. But before all that, here's Adam Pilton, Heimdal's cybersecurity advisor, with this week's Threat Brief.
Thanks, Jacob. This week, Google's threat analysts dropped something that feels like it belongs in science fiction, but isn't. They've confirmed the discovery of AI-enabled malware capable of rewriting itself while it's attacking. The report describes what Google calls just-in-time AI, where malware families use large language models to dynamically generate new code on the fly. Scripts mutate mid-execution, allowing the payload to adapt to its environment, evade detection, and even regenerate when blocked. This isn't a hypothetical proof of concept or a research stamp. It's happening in live campaigns. Threat actors are embedding fake AI tools and landing pages to trick users into executing malware that literally evolves while running. Traditional malware changes before it's deployed. New variants, new hashes, new binaries. But this code rewrites itself during execution. The malware uses AI to decide what it wants to be next. Google analysts say they've tracked these behaviors across info stealers and backdoors distributed through criminal networks, masquerading as AI research platforms. The AI layer is used to obfuscate commands, alter delivery methods, and shift its own logic trees when it senses a sandbox or an antivirus engine. In short, it's learning to think on its feet. The implications are huge. For some time now, we've warned about AI being used to write phishing emails or generate fake code snippets. But this is the next stage. AI that operationalizes itself inside malware. It means the gap between discovery and defense could shrink from days to minutes, and signature-based detection will continue to fall behind. But even as Google warns of this new frontier, another story is unfolding that shows the opposite problem: the rush to exaggerate AI's power. Just days ago, MIT Sloan withdrew a working paper that claimed AI played a significant role in most ransomware attacks. The figures were extraordinary, and according to experts, extraordinarily wrong. Researchers across the security community criticized the paper for a lack of evidence, unclear sourcing, and sweeping conclusions built on speculation rather than telemetry. After intense backlash, MIT Sloan pulled the study, saying revisions were underway. The controversy matters because it exposes a growing divide between what AI can do and what people say it does. One camp says AI is rewriting malware in real time. Another says AI is rewriting reality itself. The truth probably lies somewhere in between. Google's data is clear, though. Threat actors are using language models to enhance attack agility. But that doesn't mean AI is orchestrating every cyber event or replacing human intent. If malware can adapt on its own, then so must defenders. Static rules, signature databases, and one-time detections are going to struggle against something that morphs faster than we can patch. Security teams will need to mirror the same adaptability, automate detection logs, behavioral analytics, and AI-driven response pipelines that evolve in real time. But as we build those systems, we have to stay grounded. Every new claim about AI in cybersecurity should be tested, verified, and challenged. Because the next big threat might not come from the malware that rewrites its own code. It might come from the stories that rewrite our perception of what's real. The line between fact and fiction in AI security is blurring. And in that blur, both overconfidence and underestimation can be equally dangerous. Stay sharp. Catch you in the next brief. Back to you, Jacob.
Sam Levy, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks, Jacob. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Yeah, I look forward to this conversation. You hit on a topic that I don't know much about. I think a lot of our listeners in the MSP space are going to really benefit from. So, for those unfamiliar with Drakestar, what does your firm do, and how did you personally come to focus on MSPs and managed services within tech merger and acquisition?
Yes. Dragstar is a global investment bank. We focus exclusively on technology and tech-enabled services. We have about 80 bankers across the US and Europe, and we advise founders and investors on M&A and growth capital transactions. I personally lead our tech-enabled services practice, which includes MSPs, IT services, and some other recurring revenue type platforms. I got in this space. I've always done technology M&A. I joined a firm that was doing services before, and that was the right place to be, where you could have the same as the SaaS revenue models recurring, and also being in the services space. Now it's MSPs are at the intersection of cloud, cybersecurity, AI, and I think it's one of the most interesting and dynamic areas of tech M&A.
Yeah, there's quite a bit happening there, that's for sure. Different technologies and
Yeah.
different trends. And you've worked with hundreds of tech-enabled service transactions. So what's behind the recent acceleration in MSP acquisitions, especially? Is it consolidation, private equity appetite, or sort of the maturing of the industry as a whole?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of maybe three main forces. You mentioned it. Private equity has embraced MSPs because of their predictable recurring revenue, and also because of their fragmentation. It's kind of a textbook roll-up opportunity for private equity firms. Also, we're coming to a place where owners are aging out. So many have built these break-fix businesses back 20, 30 years ago, and moved into the MSP model and are now ready to monetize. And maybe last is the complexity of technologies from cloud to cybersecurity. It has made scale matter more than ever. And buyers want regional density, they want specialization and some automation capabilities. And the combination of those three makes it a very active market.
So, what should MSP leaders focus on in roughly 12 to 24 months before they even start thinking about selling? So, what should they focus on both financially and operationally?
Yeah. So it's kind of on both sides, on both these topics. It's kind of putting the house in order. Financially, I would say that um, clean books, normalized EBITDA, thinking about what they have in recurring versus what they have in projects, very well broken out in categories in their reporting, and also try to minimize customer concentration. And operationally, I think they should focus on one, processes, procedures, a strong leadership under the founder, if it's still a founder-owned MSP, good systems around like sales, ticketing, or financial reporting, and try to think like a buyer, try to think like, okay, let's make it easy for someone else to step in and keep growing that business.
As they plan for this kind of considerations, doing a possible merger and acquisition, from your experience, what do you find are some of the most frequent mistakes MSP owners often make during a sale
Mhm.
process, especially when it's things that might reduce their valuation or derail the deal entirely?
In terms of maybe mistakes or things I would often do differently, it's often trying to run the business for taxes instead of for valuation. Business owners, they try to minimize EBITDA, and obviously that hurts the deal value. I'm not speaking so much about the one-time or non-business related expenses that we can adjust during the process, but things like, okay, well, I like this marketing firm and it's doing good, and well, it's okay if we don't have a huge ROI on this because that minimizes my taxes. No, at this point, it's like, okay, no, it's just about ROI, return on investment. If I'm putting $1 here, it needs to come back to me as $3 all the time. Another thing, it's definitely lack of preparation. It's missing data like contracts or disorganized contracts, unclear customer metrics. So we start tracking all those metrics uh, today or yesterday. Like see how far back you can go and keep tracking that. It's lovely when I meet a business and they're like, oh yeah, well, here is my KPIs, and I've been tracking that for 5 years. Like, wow. Yeah, that's impressive and that's great because now we can. And even if the KPIs themselves are not on top of the top decile of customer retention, I can be prepared and I can go to the market with my client and say, hey, here is their customer retention, and here is how they are organized, and why it matters and what they do. And you too, once you own it, you can measure that, and they've been doing that already, and you can use some levers to improve those KPIs. So that shows an organized business. And maybe last is when you have a founder-owned business, or even if it's not founder-owned, if it's the owner of the business might feel very emotional about throughout a process or before a process, and they tend to negotiate too early and before creating competitive tension. Um, if you hire a banker, or if you hire me, we put together a process, and that's a structured process. It's not reactive. We know what's going to happen in the next phase after we get the bids. We know this is what's going to happen. Um, we adjust things, but we are 2 or 3 steps ahead of the game, and we make sure all the players are feeling that tension.
That's curious. So, Nick, you said one of the mistakes they make then is they start to negotiate too early. Could you speak to that a little more?
We're in the middle of the process, or we are preparing the company for to go to market, and they receive a call. Here is such and such buyer. We love your business. Would you be willing to entertain offers, and so on? Well, if we are hired already, the first reflex will be, hey, talk to my banker. And then you get into the safe zone. But let's say they haven't hired the banker yet. Um, they are thinking, and they're like, oh, let's see what it is. So then you get into a game of, oh, I'd like to see this data, and I'd like to see that data to give you an offer. And you're the owner, the founder, and you're like, oh, I'd love to know how much I'm worth, because it's exciting. Someone is interested about my business. Someone loves me. Let's see how much they are willing to put. And and then you see you get, I would say, too much time for one buyer, just one buyer. You spend time and you give them data and so on. Let's say they give you an offer. Most of the time it's kind of like, oh, okay, a little bit disappointing. A couple of years down the road, You come back, you hire a banker, you decided, and the banker goes to the same guy, and they're like, oh yeah, but 3 years ago, this is where they were, and they haven't progressed so much. What tells me that they're gonna progress in the next 3 years? And you're like, oh, okay, I didn't know you had discussions with them, or even if you did, they have more data, and it wasn't presented the way it's now presented when you go to market. So that was the case of the nothing happened, and you just gave them data for free and spent time and wasted some of your time where you could have grown the business. Instead of that, you were trying to entertain an offer. Or not, actually. Sometimes they just don't put an offer. That's the case where it's not great. Let's say now you get the offer and you're like, wow, that's a great price for my MSP. What do you do next? You're like, okay, well, I have one buyer. If I say no, I'm losing it. If I say yes, I will never know what the others would have said, and it's too late. It's kind of like, okay, I'm in there. Yeah, maybe they will be there in 6 months, but maybe not. Maybe they would have found they were looking for someone based in Cincinnati because they could have gotten a big contract from one of their clients, and they needed a presence in Cincinnati of all places. You don't know why they wanted to buy you. So maybe they disappear, and now you're like, okay, well, do I take it or not? Do I negotiate it maybe a little bit or not? But that's your only option.
That would be really hard. Kind of nerve-wracking, I would imagine.
It's a hard decision. So the advice here is you're ready or you're not ready. Are you ready to sell or you're not ready to sell? Even if you're ready to sell at a certain price, go find a banker. Most of us work on a small retainer, but mostly success fee basis. See what the market says, and you get your price. Yeah, the market has spoken. You've had like 3 offers, 5 offers, and now you're like, okay, well, one, I can choose the partner I like. The valuation is good. I know what they're gonna do with the team, and maybe they are constructive and they have a role for me after that could be maybe continue to run the business, but that could be also, I'm going to move. I'm going to be more of a tech guy. I'm going to be back as a sales guy. I'm going to be on the board of advisors, figure out or I'm going to be on the beach, and that's fine.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this week's conversation. If you're finding this episode valuable, take a quick second to follow the MSP Security Playbook on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. It really helps us reach more MSPs who want to scale smarter and lead with security, and it keeps this kind of expert insight coming your way. Now, back to the episode. And something else I've been wanting to ask you about is, especially now as we advance into 2026, how has AI and automation changing? How are those areas of technology really changing the economics of managed services? Do you find they're creating new acquisition opportunities or making it harder to do your due diligence?
Two very different questions, but very good. AI is definitely transforming the economics, like automatic ticket resolutions, predictive maintenance, and even client onboarding are 3 areas that AI has changed the business. And what that means is for now, that means higher margin and scalability. But it also changes the way buyers underwrite those deals. So now I would say in diligence, the investor might look more closely at how much of the service delivery is automated and whether the company owns its IP or its third-party tools. At the same time, AI gives the ability to, in due diligence again, for buyers to review everything, review all your contracts very fast, and have an idea of like, okay, this is really how it lines up. Don't be mistaken. Don't be fooled. AI still makes mistakes, and if you get 80% of the way, instead of spot checking a few contracts here and there back then, or paying huge fees to lawyers to review every single contract, you have 80%, you can get a very good idea. And then you still do the spot check and spot check the AI to make sure like that something wasn't missed. But that changes that really changes the game operationally and then during the diligence process.
Something else you mentioned earlier is this might be like a once in a lifetime event for many MSP owners who are about to sell. And so you work with founders selling their life's work often, something they've been working
Yeah.
on the majority of their working life, if not the entirety. So, what advice do you give them about managing the personal and emotional side of this incredible event of selling their MSP?
I think number one is find your number. What is the number cash that you need to, let's say, live the rest of your life with? Or if you have decided to go for another venture after this, what do you need? So find your number and then go okay, with tax, without tax, here is what that means. And then you derive the number you need to sell your business for. That would be number one. And number two is have a plan. Meaning, and that's very personal. It's okay, I've sold my MSP. What is my plan after? And your plan might be, I'm gonna sit at the beach and drink margaritas all day. That's fine, but be clear about that. Um, it's an emotional process, and in that, you're setting your business, you're setting your baby. Um, and what you don't want is to come to after 6 months of work and say, "Wow, what do I do tomorrow? I'm not selling because I'm scared. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow." No, have a plan for after. Remove the emotion of this sale.
So, given all you have a lot of great experience in this space. So, looking forward, if you had to bet, what do you think the MSP landscape will look like in a decade or more, way far out? Do you foresee more calls consolidation or a rebirth of smaller, more niche MSPs?
First, I don't think it's a rebirth of smaller MSPs. I think smaller MSPs are getting created still every day, and they're more niche. It's finding a, a market niche where you're different from the others and grow from there. So in 10 years, MSP will have integrated security offerings. They will have managed to do level 1, level 1.5, maybe level 2 tickets all through AI. They would serve their clients with a broader offering and maybe for a smaller price. And I think the industry is going to keep consolidating because of like there's the creation of new things and new needs covered by those new smaller niche MSPs or whatever they are called in 10 years, but that will integrate the offering of MSPs, of the larger ones, and with a couple of layers to get to the larger ones. So consolidation over consolidation.
Yeah, it sounds like the M&A space will continue to be relevant, if not more so, over the years to come. Then,
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. I think the job is not done for us, and we have a lot to bring to the space.
fantastic. So this brings us to one of my favorite parts of the podcast. We call it the MSP Hot Seat. It's cold here in Florida, but I hope this hot seat question will warm us up. So this question says, what's one financial or strategic metric every MSP should start tracking today if they ever want to sell their business?
Maybe the gross margin per employee, because embedded in that metric, it captures efficiency, captures automation, it captures the pricing discipline, and all that in that one number. So I would say that MSPs with the highest gross margin per head, have usually the best processes in place and the most scalable models.
Wow, I didn't think about that answer. So, Sam Levy, I really appreciate your time today, and I learned a lot. I really did. So I hope our listeners did as well. And so I appreciate it.
I hope so too, and it was a pleasure, Jacob. Thanks for having me.
Merger and acquisition. What what a fun conversation. This is an area I personally don't know that much about. I find a lot of MSP owners, it's something almost all of them have to figure out from scratch once they start an MSP and start to wonder, what if I one day sold this? What if I one day merged with another MSP? So one thing that Sam said that really stuck out to me is he said, start tracking today some of these metrics that investors might care about years and years down the road. So, for example, those key performance indicators, are they the metrics, the performance of your MSP down to how different projects, how profitable are different aspects of your MSP? Are you tracking that? Are you tracking your financials in the granularity sense that will be needed for an investor to truly understand what your MSP is worth 5 years from now? So it's really good to start thinking from the investor point of view now, even if you don't plan to sell your MSP until like half a decade later in the future. That's something I didn't think about, was tracking that immediately. And the other thing he said I thought was very insightful, especially because it relates to almost everyone, is that he said, know ahead of time what you will do with your life if you were to sell your MSP. I found this to really hit home for a lot of people because eventually every single one of us either retires or we find we're no longer able to work. And then the question becomes, okay, you made it to the finish line. In this case, you sold your MSP. You no longer have to go there, have to work however many hours you were working each day, 10, 12. MSP owners work a lot. What do you do with your life? Do you sit on the beach? Do you enjoy it? Do you start a new business? Do you go into philanthropy? Spend more time with family? So I thought it was really, really interesting that Sam pointed out it's good to know ahead of time what you'll do with your life once you do eventually sell your MSP. So I really enjoyed today's conversation with Sam. I learned a lot about a world I knew almost nothing about. And I hope you really enjoyed this chat too. That's a wrap on this episode of MSP Security Playbook. Thanks for spending part of your day with us. If you found today's insights helpful, be sure to follow the show on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review. It helps other MSPs find the playbook and level up their security game. Got a question you want us to tackle in the MSP Hot Seat? Or a topic you'd like to hear more about? Drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay sharp, stay secure, and keep building the future of your MSP business.